There's been a lot of talk in the Jewish world about an article that Gary Steingart posted in the New Yorker a week or two ago called A Botched Circumcision. A botched circumcision. Gary Steingart was one of the immigrants from the Soviet Union. He received a bris when he arrived here. But it seems, as he describes it, they either left on too much or took off too much. And here now he's 40 and he needed to undergo another circumcision. And he describes the pain that he has experienced from it. Well, he's 40. Can you imagine how Abraham felt when he was circumcised at 99? But we're not going to discuss that now. We're going to discuss an aspect of circumcision that we are told of in this week's Torah portion that has an important message to us in modern times. In this week's Torah portion, we are told that God commanded Abraham to circumcise his son Yitzchak. And he adds, and do it on the 8th day. Why is the bris on the 8th day? Lots of explanations. Some say we want the baby boy to have lived through one Shabbos and then have his circumcision. Others say for medical reasons, it's best to wait until the 8th day. The blood coagulates better. But there is an important aspect of this 8th day that people aren't aware of. 15 times in the Torah, there is reference to something taking place on the 8th day. On the 8th day, the dedication of the temple. On the 8th day, the dedication of the priests. On the 8th day, we have the festival of Shmini Atzeres. And there is a commonality in most all of them, and it goes back to the first 8th day. The day when God handed over the world to man and said, now you do it. We have a tradition that God created the world in 6 days. He rested on the 7th. And on the eve of the 8th day, you know what he gave mankind? Fire. Fire. The ability to create. And he said, now you create. And you be my partner in creation. When Rabbi Akiva was asked why we circumcise a child, if God wanted us to be circumcised, why didn't he create us that way? He said, this is being done so that we play a role in God's creation. We are part of the completion of creation that God started and then gave us the tools to continue. This is a very important lesson. We're living in a day and age of so many new inventions and creations. And there are people who have a problem with this. I saw on a Barry Weiss podcast, the discussion was the internet a horrible mistake. It reminded me that when the printing press came out, we Jews jumped and used it. Muslims didn't. For 200 years, they wouldn't use the printing press for religious reasons, and they fell behind from being a mighty, creative civilization, and in a certain sense have never caught back up. When the Wright brothers created the first airplane, many said that it was an act of heresy. If God meant for man to fly, he would have created him with wings. A man by the name of Talyachi was the first to discover the great potential of plastic surgery. Did you know that his bones were disinterred from a Christian cemetery by religious fundamentalists who said that man should not be tampering with God's creation? And that's what Talyachi was doing. Imagine the shockwaves in the community if this way of thinking about plastic surgery had become the accepted norm. The discovery of the first umbrella was castigated on religious grounds. If it's raining, obviously God wants us to get wet. That's not the Jewish perspective. Sure, there are problems with the internet, and people found problems with the radio and the television and the telephone. But we've learned what we benefit from all of these mankind's creation. The internet, well, when Facebook went down a couple of weeks ago, there are a lot of people who use WhatsApp who was wondering what's up. Do you know that on Facebook there are 100 billion messages a day? God gave us the ability to create that and to communicate with others. So I feel bad for Gary Steingart, I really do. But I hope he takes to heart the message of creation. We are partners with God. That's why we call circumcision a brit. A brit means a covenant. And a covenant requires two partners. We are partners with God. Let's continue to do our share. Shabbat Shalom.